Here is my fence covering flower bed. Um, I like to landscape all the way around the yard, so it's easier to mow and maintain, but I have the opportunity to put in a lot more plants that way. And then I also like to introduce different colors so you have things blooming throughout the whole season. This one, which is not blooming yet, is called monkshood. Not a lot of people have it. This is another plant that was in all the botanical gardens in Alaska. It's also a very poisonous plant, so pets or kids should stay away from it. But this one will bloom probably the week or 2 weeks before it freezes up. So sometimes I don't get great color, but it's dark blue and very pretty.
And then I see you've got some black-eyed Susan vine. Is that something you plant every year?
It is. I collect the seed every year too, so I start that myself. You can also see another plant on that vine, and I have some hardy kiwi that I've been trying to start on that trellis. So the black-eyed Susan vine is kind of a filler until that grows up, but the kiwi vine is taken right off. Here you can see the blueberries that I mentioned don't like our soil. They're very struggling. I did have blueberries last year. They were delicious. Nothing this year, thanks to the rabbits.
Now, allium, I always think of that as a spring bloomer.
Yes, I've found some varieties that'll bloom all season. There's some fall blooming varieties. This one's called Millennium. It's a very nice landscape plant, very reliable. I really like to throw in some alliums. I have some other ones here that bloomed this spring, but they still look unique once they've dried up, so I leave those alone. Another plant that I really like, it's not blooming now, but the Ito peonies. They're the hybrids between the Japanese tree peonies and your standard garden peony. Kind of expensive, but definitely a novelty item that's mandatory for every garden. They don't get the powdery mildew, the flowers don't flop over, so I have about 4 or 5 different ones in my yard.
And you have phlox now blooming.
Phlox looks great. You asked about natives. I have spiderwort and then some milkweed in the back. Haven't seen any monarch caterpillars yet, but hopefully yet this year.
Now, you have a love for plants, and you're known as the plant addict. Do you have plants inside too?
I do. I have to do something in the winter.
So, how many inside plants do you have?
At last count, I have 158.
Where do you keep them all?
There's a few all over the house, but I also have a bedroom dedicated all to houseplants. So most of them are in there.
And how do you get them enough light?
I've supplemented a lot of light. Since 2020, people have been very interested in houseplants. There's a lot more lighting that you can purchase. There's a lot more types of pots, a lot more plant varieties. Even some of the rare varieties that were very expensive and hard to come by are now available for very reasonable prices. So there's some pretty neat ones in there.
Well, did you build shelves in order to hold all those
I
plants?
did. I started with just buying little shelving units that were decorative, and then I had too many plants. So I had to build, I think I have 6 levels on my one wall.
Oh my gosh. Now, I know for work and for pleasure that you do a lot of traveling, but who takes care of all these plants when you're gone?
The houseplants, I've learned, are the more you have in a room, the more they rely on each other. So the humidity is a little higher in that room, and they tend to last a long time. I think I only water about once a month in there. And then I have all my containers on irrigation, and if I need family or friends to stop by, I've got people in town that can help out.
Charles, do you wash or dust your plants inside at all?
Sure. About once a year, I'll haul them all outside and give them a good rinse. That's about it. I usually forget.
Well, then when you get a new plant to feed your addiction, do you keep them separate for a while?
I should. I ended up with a big mealybug problem in some of my Hoyas, so they've been isolated to the greenhouse, but from now on, I learned my lesson. I know we're told to isolate them in a different area, but I will have to do that.
Do you take cuttings and gift some of your plants to friends?
I do. I have one from my friend Whitney. We've exchanged cuttings back and forth, and I actually have quite a few cuttings going right now. When I was trying to clean up the mealybug problem, I took a bunch of cuttings, or if my plants just get too long, you know how pothos like to grow and grow and grow. So I like to chop them up and start a whole bunch more.
Can you monitor your irrigation?
Yeah, actually, the irrigation on my containers is all connected to my phone. So if it's going to rain or if it is raining, I can put a pause on it from wherever I'm at. And I can see every day whether it has run or not. So that's been a pretty handy piece of technology.
Charles, how often do you fertilize with all of these plants?
That's important. The perennials and trees, once a year, in the beginning of spring, I'll put down a slow release fertilizer. And then the containers, when I remember, I try to do it every 2 weeks. And then the houseplants get fed a product like Osmocote twice a year.